It's done. Manchester City are champions of the Premier League, their 5th Premier League title. Pep Guardiola's 3rd league title matches Bayern Munich and Barcelona titles as well. Man City win their 3rd in last 4 seasons, a remarkable achievement after Leicester City beat Manchester United. We got Jimmy Conrad here to discuss their incredible season and what's ahead for them, of course, as they look ahead to the Champions League final. Plus, we preview all the action for Wednesday, including Chelsea against Arsenal, MLS, Juventus, and so much more. Stay right here. Qué Golazo begins right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Qué Golazo. Jimmy Conrad in the house. And Jimmy, Manchester City have won the Premier League the 3rd time of the last 4 seasons, their 5th Premier League title. Pep Guardiola's 3rd Premier League title, so he matches the same league titles he won with Barcelona and Bayern Munich after Manchester United, a rotated Manchester United, lost to Leicester City, who have their own Champions League ambitions. But Jimmy, what a day, but Man City, champions of the Premier League. Thoughts?
My initial thoughts are that they deserved it. I'm going to start there. They were the better team and have been the best and most consistent team on both sides of the ball throughout the season, and fair play to what Pep Guardiola has done with this squad. I mean, the fact that Ilkay Gundogan is your leading goal scorer really speaks to your ability to adapt and be flexible and fluid in terms of how you attack and where you're trying to create those numerical advantages. And to Ilkay Gundogan for really kind of figuring out a different, or finding a new level to his career, or new and exploring this new position in a meaningful way. That and alone is a really testament to the system that Pep Guardiola has put in place. But even more important than that, because you know that I love defense, baby. You know that I believe that defense wins championships. The emphasis on defending from Pep Guardiola has been next level. And he knew that he needed to tighten up that area of his squad if they were going to win anything of consequence. And I'm talking more about the Champions League than the Premier League, but it also helps to win the Premier League. And fair play to him. Ruben Dias could be up for player of the season, should be up for player of the season, could be the player of the season. I think he was the missing link in a lot of different ways. And not because he's better than certain defenders out there. We could argue that Laporte, who's on City, is a better passer. We could argue that John Stones might be better in certain areas. But Ruben Dias has that one thing that's hard to teach, that hard thing to build or to – he has grit is really what I'm trying to get to. And he's tough, and they needed a little toughness in that area of the field, and it's made such a big difference to that whole team. And the fact that they take a lot of pride in their defending now, something I don't think we saw in previous iterations. So I can't say enough about this Manchester City team. I know that some of the shine is worn off because they're having trouble with Chelsea at the current moment, and obviously they got Chelsea in the Champions League final. But when we look strictly at the Premier League, they are the deserved champions.
Yeah, no, well said. There's not much more to add to that, aside from the fact that I think I go back to your point. You know, they've scored so far right now 72 goals in the Premier League. Nobody denies like how amazing they are as an offensive force, right? Riyad Mahrez, Sergio Aguero, Gabriel Jesus. They don't even need a number 9, right? Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva, Ferran Torres. But really, it's about at the back. And I think in a season where it was very difficult to maneuver because of COVID-19, I mean, they started their season with a hiccup, right? Their original fixture against Villa was, rescheduled due because of a situation they had in their own club as well with COVID. You know, it's very important to remember how, like you said, defense wins you titles. And Ruben Dias, I think, was the first, to me, he's the player of the season because he reminds me of Vincent Kompany. You've mentioned Carles Puyol. I agree. It's just that determination, that leadership. Whenever they would take a corner or defend a corner, he's the first one, like yelling at everybody, making sure that everybody's together. He puts his body in front of the line. Like he just, emphasized what this Man City team was about, which was not just creatively you were amazing, but you were also resilient and very strong. And yes, they're a very rich squad, $350 million bench, etc. But you know what? You still got to win it, and you still got to win it, and you still got to, and you're still going for a treble, winning the League Cup, now the Premier League, and obviously the Champions League against Chelsea later this month. So it's a tremendous achievement. And Pep Guardiola's 3rd league title, the 3rd in the last 4 seasons. He's won 3 with Bayern Munich, 3 with Barcelona, and now 3 with Manchester City. That's an amazing achievement.
Time for him to move on, I guess, right? He's
you think?
The power of 3. What I'll say is I actually have 3 things. I'm glad you brought up the 3. One is I can't already wait for next season because Liverpool are going to be healthy. They're going to be looking to redeem themselves in some ways, right? With a fully fit squad. I'm sure they'll make a couple changes to make sure that they're going to be competing. Chelsea are clearly going to be competing with Tuchel in charge. Manchester United are probably going to make some signings to continue to get better on their end. Who knows what happens with Tottenham, and Arsenal and some of the other teams. And I think Leeds at some point are going to hopefully allow Marcelo Bielsa to spend a little bit and get some players to help strengthen his team. It's going to be super competitive next season. So I just wanted to bring that up. My second thing is Pep Guardiola. Do you think he deserves manager of the year? Because Brendan Rodgers, I think should be in there with a shout with Leicester, especially because it looks like they're going to finish in the top 4.
A good win today. Yep.
Yeah. And then David Moyes, at West Ham, if they finish in the top 6 and qualify for the Europa League, I think that David Moyes deserves some serious attention and recognition for what he's done with West Ham this season. So I'm kind of curious. And Bielsa too. I mean, Bielsa should be in there. I mean, Leeds could finish in the top half of the table. That would be a remarkable achievement as well, because he hasn't really brought in any big names. He's kind of stuck with the same team that got him through the championship, And
Leeds, and this is Leeds' return after 16 years not being in the Premier League, and also Marcelo Bielsa's debut in the Premier League. Anyway,
I honestly, I mean, all due respect to Pep Guardiola, to your point, I mean, those players could probably coach themselves. They're so well versed. Obviously, it's his philosophy and style that they're well versed in. That said, I think that these other guys maybe should get a little bit more love. And I don't even know if Pep needs the award anymore. He doesn't need it. He probably wants one of those other guys. He loves Bielsa, so I'm sure he'd vote for Bielsa. But I don't know. Those my 2 things, and I forgot the third one. So here we are.
Well, no, I think you bring valid points, and it's going to be very interesting to see who wins manager this season for the reasons that you mentioned. By the way, Ilkay Gundogan tweeting, "Champions of England again. I would have preferred to celebrate this moment after an own game, but I take it anyway."
That was my third point. Thank you, Ilkay Gundogan, for doing that. I think it's funny when people win the league and they're at their home and they're, wearing their PJs on the couch, just like you and me. And like, hey, by the way, we won the league, and they have to celebrate kind of just by themselves, even though Liverpool, I think last season,
at least they were together and they were all watching. Right. By the way, Zach Steffen, the first U.S. international to win the Premier League.
Amazing. Congratulations to him. Should
Pretty
give him
good.
A lot of confidence. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. So well done, Manchester City. And now the Champions League, which will be a difficult opponent, of course, because you've already lost to Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea twice. But you believe, and I think I believe too, that it won't be third time lucky for Chelsea. I think Man City will be finally getting this Champions League title. Though, if I'm wrong, it wouldn't be. Well, first of all, it wouldn't be new because I'm wrong a lot, but it also wouldn't be a surprise. What do you think?
No, it wouldn't be a surprise at all. I think that they're the favorites on William Hill, and for good reason. I also think that it's going to be hard for Chelsea to beat this City team 3 consecutive times in one season. I've already said that before. I'm going to say it again because I just don't think that Pep has actually shown his full hand to Tuchel yet in the FA Cup semifinals. He made 8 changes. Kevin De Bruyne got hurt in that one. They looked off the pace a little bit. Zach Steffen, it was still 0-0, and Zach Steffen just got caught in no man's land, and that's what led to their 1 goal. But it was enough to see it through. And fair play to get in a clean sheet against a very good City team. And then they made 9 changes to this one. He played a different formation, 3 guys in the back. They don't normally play that way. I think there were gaps that they weren't necessarily used to. I thought Mendy got overrun by Reece James. I thought there were some good tactical adjustments by Tuchel. And that's where I think maybe Tuchel doesn't get enough credit, and he will, is that he makes very good in-game adjustments, especially at halftime.
Yeah.
He's a very, very good tactician, him and his staff. I don't know if it's always him. I think he's got a staff that he really trusts to identify how they can have success. And so I think if you're looking for value on William Hill, Chelsea and both teams to score, I think, is plus 350. And that's great. Plus 175 right now for Chelsea to win straight up in the Champions League final. It's minus 200 for City to win. So you're going to find better value with Chelsea, and we can make a strong argument that they're going to get the business done as well. They're just going to get beat by, Man City's going to lose 3 different times in 3 different competitions, the league, FA Cup, and now the Champions League. That said, I just don't think this City team's going to let this opportunity slip through their fingers.
Yeah, no, I agree. And listen, like if Agüero doesn't miss that penalty and maybe Sterling gets that penalty, things can go either way. Not to take anything away from Chelsea. It's just that this is a game very tight to call. By the way, Pep Guardiola calls this the hardest triumph for Man City, this 3rd Premier League title, the toughest one. And I'm not surprised, right? The season that they've had with COVID, et cetera, no fans in the stadiums. It's been difficult for everybody, but I can imagine winning a league title is also, a difficult thing.
He says that, but they won 25 straight games in all competitions.
Mind games, Pep. Mind games.
during the hardest part of the season. That's the crazy part, is that they went on an unbeaten streak, a winning streak from mid-December, which goes through Boxing Day and all the cluster of all those games at the beginning of January and through January. And then you have the Champions League that ramps up. 25 straight games they won, Luis.
Yeah.
They didn't draw. They won 25 straight during the hardest part of the season. And that is something special. So yeah, he says it's most difficult, but they were cruising there for a while. And if they can tap into that, then I think they should have enough to get past Chelsea. But again, and I'm going to continue to say it, they need to score first in that Champions League final.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And by the way, the fact that Manchester United gave them the title is probably not going to bode well with the United fans, but they got their own, they got Champions League for next season. So that's good. And the Europa League final to look ahead to. So, plenty of, hey, quick one on Leicester City, because this was a big victory. And now adding, like you said, pressure on Liverpool now to try and climb up that table. But if Leicester City can hold on, I mean, they have an FA Cup final to look ahead to, but do you see Leicester City sticking with its Champions League spot?
I do. I don't think Liverpool is going to have enough. I think that they have to be perfect from this point out. And as we've seen from a lot of the teams that are hovering around that, 4th to 9th position, being perfect has been very difficult. And Liverpool in particular, especially at home, has been very uneven. That said, they have 3 away games.
Yeah.
So before they head home and play Crystal Palace on the last day of the season, and for them to win all 4, it's possible. And given their current form, very possible. I just think they're going to drop points in one of them, and I think that'll be enough for Leicester to kind of see it out. Leicester have a tough schedule as well, but I think a draw now for Leicester should lock it up. Just to catch everybody up, Liverpool do have 2 games at hand. They're on 57 points.
Yeah, Leicester, and it's Chelsea who's 4th right now, even though they have a game points.
Yeah. I think Leicester would be the target over Chelsea per se, just because Leicester's schedule is ridiculous. But no, I'm not going to count out Liverpool by any stretch of the imagination, but I just think they have a lot of work to do. And I think Man United are going to make 11 changes to their lineup from today's game. And that's going to prove to be difficult, because Liverpool had that benefit of not having a Tuesday game, so they could be rested. But ultimately, the key players for Manchester United will be ready to go.
Yep, absolutely. So well done, Manchester City, on winning the Premier League. And by the way, as we're taping, Napoli's winning 2-1 against Udinese. We're going to do a quick preview for Wednesday matches. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to preview what's going to happen on Wednesday. So as you listen to this, get ready for some Wednesday action as well. We'll be right back. Hey, Qué Golazo listeners, I wanted to let you know about what's on CBS Sports HQ this week. As always, CBS Sports HQ is your home to start your sports news day with live updates kicking off each morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. And HQ is always your home ahead of the evening's action with live picks from the best analysts and cappers in the sports world each day at 6 p.m. Eastern. On Wednesday, NFL experts will be breaking down the 2021 schedule, and our cappers will be making the Preakness picks ahead of Saturday's race. So check out HQ on your computer or cbssports.com or via the CBS Sports app on your mobile phone or TV. And guess what? It's always free and it's always on. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Qué Golazo, our Wednesday preview now. And it's another big one in the Premier League because Chelsea, obviously they have an FA Cup final to look ahead to, Jimmy Conrad, but now they face Arsenal, who, need some points, I think, for the sake of, I don't know, Mikel Arteta's future, maybe? What do you have here, Jimmy?
Okay, so let's just stay on Arsenal. I feel like they're probably still a bit heartbroken about losing to Villarreal with a chance at home to go to a Europa League final, taking on Manchester United. They should have beat them in leg 2 of the semifinals. I said it before, I'll say it again. I think Arsenal fans are very emotional, and I hope that they've chilled out and gained some perspective since then, because it was if I was a fan, I didn't tell you what was at stake per se, but just that, hey, you had a chance to win at home in a big game. You hit the post a couple times. You were in complete control. The other team didn't even have a shot on goal, and you were in that control. And you know what? You just didn't win. You got a little unlucky. I think most fans would take that result. Okay, just on my day, it happens during a season. this happens. I know it's the second leg, and I know it's a long season. There's a lot of frustration that are wrapped into it. But Arsenal fans like, fire Arteta, get rid of all of our best players, start all over, dumpster fire. And I just hope there's some sensible Arsenal fans that that's just not the way forward. I think that's not going to solve your problems. The grass looks greener over, I think, on that side, but I don't think it's going to ultimately solve your problems. You have such a great core of young players, and it looks like Hassam Awar from Lyon might be coming to you guys in the transfer window for only 35 million, which is a great price if you can get him there. And because Odegaard's going to go back to Real Madrid and Ceballos should go back to Real Madrid, you're going to need, and you're going to have some room to go out and get a playmaker who can sit in front of Partey and Xhaka. And I think Awar could be the guy for you. I think he's excellent. Anyway, with regard to this one in particular, Arsenal have only lost 2 out of the last 10 and are unbeaten in their last 3 against Chelsea, but they haven't faced a Thomas Tuchel managed Chelsea before. So everybody that's betting this, prepare yourself for under 2.5 goals and most likely a Chelsea win. And if that happens, that pays 270. I like that one a lot. Just to remind you about Chelsea, they've only been behind 3 times in 25 games under Tuchel. 19 minutes to Southampton, 1 minute to Porto, and 19 minutes to City. So I don't know who everybody thinks is going to score first in this, but I would take a look at who's Chelsea's starting because they have an FA Cup final to prepare for on the weekend against Leicester City. So if it's Tammy Abraham and Olivier Giroud, Timo Werner, they're all at plus 400 to score first. Chelsea are definitely going to score first. Kai Havertz will probably start, plus 450 for him to score first. Pulisic is plus 450. Ziyech, though, might not be a bad shout. He scored the first goal for Chelsea against City. He didn't score the first goal of the game, but if he does score first in this one, plus 700. I like that one a lot.
That's very good.
It's not bad. I mean, there's some value there if you guys want to try those exotics. My only concern again is just make sure you wait to see who Chelsea roll out and don't make any bets until you see the starting lineup an hour before kickoff. I think that Chelsea have pretty much secured a place in the top 4, even though, there's still a chance mathematically for somebody to catch them. They're 6 points clear of 5th place with 3 games left to play. I think that everyone below them, as I mentioned before, can't really figure out how to sustain a good run and play consistently.
Yeah.
So they really just need 3 points in the last 3 to make sure they secure it, or just win the Champions League final and solidify that. Could be a way to do it either. But I'm not really too worried for Tuchel, and I don't think anybody else is. They're so good in so many different ways that I just don't know who's going to catch them. But this game in particular kind of screams 1-0 to me in favor of Chelsea.
Yeah. I don't see, even though it's somewhat of a congested week because obviously the FA Cup final, it's the system that everybody in Chelsea understands on the Tuchel. So it doesn't really matter who's obviously, there will be some individual matchups that you can look ahead. As you mentioned, you have to really watch out until the lineup comes out. But I don't see Chelsea, to your facts and your stats there, giving much away, even though they're away from home in this one, right? So I don't think it matters that much to them. I think they're going to be very solid. It's going to be pretty much an uncomfortable game, I think, for Arsenal. They'll try and get something out of it. Similar to one of their fixtures in the Europa League when they were trying to break some teams up and they just couldn't find the antidote. Well, let me tell you something. Trying to break this Chelsea line is very, very difficult. So I wouldn't even be surprised if this ended as a stalemate, to be honest with you. But I do see Chelsea's quality just shining through a little bit more. As you mentioned earlier, Tuchel is so good tactically during a certain game that I think he'll be able to figure it out. If he can rotate some players in and out, I think he can take a win here. So I'm going with a probably 1-0 Chelsea as well. It's just... I will say I find it difficult for Arsenal to score. I know that they can. It's just I don't know.
It's just going to be honestly, it's going to depend on the starting lineup. So take all that into consideration. It looks like Leicester actually have an extra day of rest, right? Because they played United today,
yep.
and then so that will have to factor in. That said, of any season where I think players are used to playing once every 3 or 4 days, it's this season. So even if he rolled out a couple guys today, they're going to be ready for Saturday. There's no question. But I do think that we see Ziyech could start. Havertz will probably start. Billy Gilmore will probably start next to Jorginho, giving N'Golo Kante the rest. Alonso will probably start out wide. Zuma will probably start. You know what I mean? So they have options and they got some depth. It would be nice to see Tammy Abraham maybe get a run out, or Olivier Giroud before they're probably leave the club. But and then on the flip side with Arsenal, I think we're going to see a full squad. Obviously, not only are they playing for pride, but they're also probably playing to see who's going to stick around for next season, because I think Arteta is going to make some big changes over the summer.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's move on here because Juventus have to face Sassuolo on Wednesday, and Juventus need Champions League football for so many reasons. What do you have for me there?
Well, Juve are struggling in the biggest possible way, and this will be, of the 35 games that Andrea Pirlo's managed in Serie A, this will be his 35th different lineup. And we talked about it before, but I'm telling you, that is a problem in a lot of different ways. And they're under a ton of pressure, Juve. So much so that there's Vice President Pavel Nedved, who I think might be let go this summer as well, has come out and said that Andrea Pirlo will be back next season. That's a kiss of death. And that Cristiano Ronaldo will be back next season. Listen, the best player to ever play in the Champions League isn't spending a season in the Europa League. We can make that absolutely clear. So them getting smacked around by AC Milan was a big loss. The problem is with Sassuolo, they are awesome right now. They have a magnificent haul, I'd like to add, 16 points out of the last 18 available.
Wow.
So they're cruising, Sassuolo, and they're on the heels of catching Roma. Now, when I saw my research for this, I was like, what are they going to catch them for? Because Roma isn't going to qualify for the Europa League. But if you guys are unaware, they're having the UEFA Europa Conference League. It's like the third tier of European competition now. So Roma is in that spot. And now Sassuolo could catch them, which would be crazy for Roma, because we all know that Jose Mourinho is going to be the first to ever win the Europa Conference League. So what they're doing is, and I had to read about this just to catch everybody up. It's going to be a third tier league. It's going to be the same schedule as always. It's going to serve as the bottom level of the existing UEFA Europa League competition. The Europa League competition is going to be reduced from 48 to 32 teams, which I think is smart because there's like a gajillion teams. And the Conference League will be primarily contested from lower ranked UEFA member associations. No teams will qualify directly to the group stage, with 10 teams eliminated in the Europa League playoffs and the rest coming from the Europa Conference League qualifiers, which I find very interesting. The winners of the competition are awarded a position in the Europa League the following season unless they qualify for the Champions League. So there's kind of the history of it. They've been trying to do this since they've introduced this since 2015, having this like kind of third tier competition. So there's still a lot to play for Sassuolo. This would be only their second time, if they qualified for it, their second time ever in a European competition. So, and they're the hottest team right now in Serie A. Juve couldn't have picked the worst time to play against Sassuolo. So fair play to them for really picking it up. And Juve are on the other hand, and the lineup changes. It's a big problem. And I wonder who's going to come in and try to fix it, because I think Pirlo's gone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what do you think will happen in this game then?
That said, I do think that Cristiano Ronaldo isn't, the guy loves being the hero, and it's all setting up for him to be a hero, obviously not to win the Scudetto or to win the Champions League, but to salvage the season in some capacity. Juve to win and both teams to score plus 165. At some point, this Juve team has to show up and be accounted for, right? And the guys that get paid the big bucks need to show up. Ronaldo's already put the team on his back recently to score 2 late goals to help them kind of stay in this conversation for the top 4. If you want Cristiano Ronaldo to score first, plus 230, Cristiano Ronaldo to score, Juve to win, both teams to score plus 260. He's going to have some influence in this game. It's just a matter of whether he can get that service that he needs, because obviously he's not as mobile as he once was. So he needs service. And I just don't know who's going to start. You just don't know. That said, I think that Juan Cuadrado is going to be very important. John Square, as I like to call him. He whips in a ton of balls. And so, you know, he's going to get his opportunities, Ronaldo. It's just a matter of whether he finishes them or not. There's a big part of me, though, Luis, that I just, because of how well Sassuolo's playing, there is a bet that I'm looking at. Sorry, let me go find it. I thought I had it written down, and I don't. It is to
do with Juventus.
Well, essentially, yes. Sassuolo Juventus, where they basically, Sassuolo takes the lead and Juve comes from behind to either win or draw.
Yeah.
And it was I got it. It's plus 350 for that to happen. And I think I could see that happening. Sassuolo with all their energy and momentum and enthusiasm scoring the first goal, and then Juve kind of scraping and coming back to get something out of it to keep their hopes and dreams alive.
Well, the narrative of Cristiano Ronaldo being the hero would fit in that, of course. They need Champions League football. They just need it, pure and simple. Regardless of what happens with Napoli Udinese, Napoli winning right now, but, you know, regardless of that, because it's very tight at the top, because obviously there's also Atalanta against Benevento, Torino, AC Milan, Lazio, Parma, the champions Internazionale against Roma. So plenty of games in Serie A. Yeah,
so one thing I'll add. If Juve win out, I think they'll finish the top 4. I just don't know if they're going to win out. And the reason I say that is because Atalanta and AC Milan play each other on the last day of the season. So one or both of those teams are going to drop points, which could, in the status, and I'm sure the mind of the hero, the superhero Cristiano Ronaldo, it could be on the last day of the season that he helps Juve get that top 4. So there's a really good opportunity, but Juve have to win out, and it starts with Sassuolo.
Yeah, no, keep your eye out for that. All right, let's move on here because La Liga as well. There's a lot of action there. Sevilla against Valencia, Atletico Madrid against Real Sociedad. What do you have for me in La Liga?
So let's just start with the biggest of the two that I really like. Atleti versus Real Sociedad. Atleti haven't won the league since 2014. They got a 2-point lead at the top with 3 games to go. It's in their hands. But this Real Sociedad team, who started the season really, really well, if you remember, Luis, and then just had a real major case of inconsistency in the middle, are starting to play well again. They've won 3 out of the last 4. They look pretty close to securing status for the Europa League. They need maybe one more win to make that happen. So this could be pretty tricky for an Atleti team that should have squeaky bums right now. I mean, they have everything to play for. It's in their hands, and it's just a matter of whether they can score the timely goals, which they did at the beginning of the season, but didn't do so much when it mattered around mid-February when the games got a little bit tighter. I do, though, because in Diego Simeone, I trust, the manager of Atleti. He loves winning games 1-0. I call it the Diego Simeone special. So I like Atleti to win in under 2.5 goals, and they have to win. Atleti need to win, right? I mean, this can't get any crazier in La Liga, plus 240 for that to happen. Diego Simeone, the special exact score, 1-0, plus 470. I'm definitely betting on that. Atleti, the only team to score plus 170. Clean sheet plus 101 for them. Atleti, I just want to throw this in there. Atleti have seen under 2.5 goals in their last 5 matches in all competitions versus Sociedad. Okay. They've also had kept a clean sheet in their last 3 at home. And Sociedad's last 6 out of 7 away from home have seen 2.5 goals. So if you just want to package something with under 2.5 goals with these 2 opponents, I think you're going to find yourself in a good place. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. And then with regard to Sevilla, Valencia, remember when Sevilla Valencia like 3 or 4 years ago? This would have been a banger of a game, by the way.
Yeah.
Valencia have completely dropped off. They're currently in 13th place on 39 points, only 9 points off of relegation. And they've been hovering there the whole season. And a lot of the Valencia fans have had it. They're now marching. They're taking the streets. They want their owner, Peter Lim, out. And I actually think we could probably do a whole episode on what the hell happened to Valencia. But Peter Lim,
tremendous article in the Financial Times, I believe, or was it Forbes? One of them on Valencia and Peter Lim. Incredible. I recommend.
So I just saw this today. Oh, it's not even going to give it to me. Oh, here it is. Peter Lim came out and crushed his own fans. He's the Financial Times. He came out and crushed his own fans. They say, oh, we want him to leave the club. He's like, they're trying to make sure we don't sell the club to anyone other than the fans. This is who he's referencing. This is a quote. These people argue, we're Valencianos. We know the club. But with the Valencianos is in charge, they went bankrupt, right? Yeah. This is what he said. I don't want to belittle the club. It's 102 years old. They've never won the Champions League and want to win at all costs. They got birds in their heads. I mean, what owner says that about his fans, dude? That's crazy. So Valencia are a hot mess right now. I want to see how this unfolds over the summer. But Sevilla should have beaten Real Madrid. You remember in the preview show, everybody, I said that was my lock of the week, and a lucky deflection kept me from that happening. They got a 2-2 draw with Real Madrid. They've just kind of stumbled before the finish line, losing to Athletic, getting this draw against Madrid. So they're probably not going to win the title at this point, but they can still make some noise. And I think they're going to get all 3 points against Valencia here. I like Sevilla to win in over 2.5 goals. Valencia have scored in 8 consecutive games and are coming off a big 3-0 win this past weekend. And as we know, confidence matters. So I think Valencia will score, but Sevilla, I just think have a little bit more quality. And I'd like Sevilla to win. Both teams to score plus 190 is probably the safer of the other one. The other one's plus 240. So I like Sevilla to do the business, but I think Valencia will get a goal in this one.
Yeah, no, I like that as well. Listen, we got so many games, and I wanted to get your thoughts on MLS. There's a lot of MLS going on, specifically on Wednesday night. If you look at this fixture list, by the way, some really gay games in MLS. Inter Miami against Montreal. The crew.
You can't call them that anymore. It's not allowed.
I know. Columbus face Toronto FC, Minnesota United against Vancouver Whitecaps. What are you looking at here? What do you like?
The biggest game for me is San Jose Earthquakes hosting the Seattle Sounders. Yeah. After losing their opening day game, San Jose, they've hit the ground running with 3 wins on the bounce. Seattle remain unbeaten so far. They
Best
are very
team in
good.
MLS in my opinion.
Yes, and they're doing it without their best player, Nico Ladero, with all due respect to Raul Ruidiaz.
That's all right. I forgive you. It's fine.
So Seattle are on top of the West. They won away against their biggest rivals, Portland, this past weekend. So they're going to have that little bit of a bounce. San Jose, though, Cade Cowell, who says he's 17 years old. He looks like a grown-ass man to me. He looks like he's 25 or 30 for sure. But he's going to be going to Europe for So here's the crazy stat for you guys. Cade Cowell from San Jose Earthquakes had a goal and 2 assists 2 weeks ago, was player of the week. Okay.
Yeah.
Chris Wondolowski, who's 19 years older than Cade Cowell, the captain. He's the leading scorer in MLS history. Scored 2 goals against Real Salt Lake. He was MLS player of the week. That's the biggest age difference in players of the week in the history of the league, which is crazy. And they're on the same team. So they've got a lot of different ways they can beat you, San Jose, but they're always a mixed bag. I think they're going to run into a team and the Sounders that know exactly who they are and what they're about. I like both teams to score in Seattle to win. That is plus 320, if I'm not mistaken. So that is what I'd be looking at, because I think San Jose will score, but I think the Sounders are just too good right now. And Nico Ladero is starting to train with the team again. If he comes back in, they're even stronger. No,
that's the game to watch, and that's the late game on Wednesday, by the way, 10:30 Eastern. Matias Almeida's San Jose Earthquakes against Seattle Sounders. All right, before we leave, because there's so many games.
So many games. It's awesome. I love it.
French Coupe de France, Montpellier against PSG. What else you want to talk about before we say goodbye?
Well, I definitely want to talk about that.
You can put it all in one nice big pack.
Sure. I mean, you got to talk about Montpellier versus PSG.
Absolutely.
In the Coupe de France semifinals. It looks like Monaco is playing a second division team in the other semifinal. So it could be set up for a Monaco PSG final, which would be pretty remarkable. And it could lead to Mauricio Pochettino not winning any trophies, because Monaco are very good. They got knocked out of the Champions League. It looks like they might not win Liga. And I wonder about Mauricio Pochettino's future. So they need to win something. They need to win something. I know they won the French Super Cup or whatever when he was in charge, the Coupe de la Ligue, right when he came in, right? He, like 2 games in, he won a trophy, and that was, he finally got rid of the Spurs curse and finally won something. But now it's getting a little bit like, hey, you got to win something of a little bit more consequence. So he needs to win this one. Montpellier, though, are going to be a tough test. And after they drew 1-1 this past week to kind of lose their title aspirations, PSG to Rennes 1-1. I don't know. I don't know how this team's going to respond.
Well, I see goals from both sides in this one.
Yeah, I do too. But I think PSG will get through. I think they're going to set up a final against
but I see them conceding though, regardless.
Yeah, and then just quickly about the Liga MX playoffs, we are in the quarterfinals now. It's a 2-legged affair. So you're going to have Toluca and Cruz Azul. Cruz Azul, the number 1 seed going into this. So my eyes are
the favorites.
That.
Yep.
Yeah. Toluca took down Lyon, who were the favorites or won the league the season before. So they're coming in on penalties. Yeah. So they'll be going. That
was our mistake. We saw Leon in that one.
I know. They lost some penalties. It's so sad.
But we own it. Toluca won.
We own it. So Leon is out. Tigres is out. Chivas Guadalajara is out. And so the last 8 teams are Toluca, Cruz Azul, Atlas Puebla, Pachuca, Club America, and Santos taking on Monterrey. So, yeah, it's a lot. It's going to be pretty exciting to see a new champion this year. And I'm sure everybody's thinking Club America because they're the most successful team in Liga MX history. They're like the Yankees of Mexican football. But I think Cruz Azul is so good in so many different ways. I like them. They're my favorites. But that first game against Toluca will really set the tone, I think, for the rest of the playoffs.
By the way, Ricardo Ferretti leaves Tigres as manager. Obviously, we knew that was happening, but there are talks that, he's open to MLS. And let me tell you something. This manager is something. How good would that be, huh?
That would be amazing.
Amazing.
I'm here for that.
Absolutely. But Jimmy Conrad, thank you so much, man. We really brought it today. I mean, you brought it. It was amazing. I loved it. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
Well, I just wanted to say with that line about both teams to score in the Coupe de France semifinal. PSG to win, both teams to score plus 128. So pretty even money, all things considered. But I wanted to throw that out there. No, I'm excited. I love that we have a slate of games that do exist outside of the Champions League and Europa League, that we can really immerse ourselves in a midweek. Right? We always talk about this for weekend previews, but for like midweek to have these type of juicy matchups is unbelievable, and I'm excited to talk about it with you guys, and hopefully everybody's enjoying it at home.
I love it. Jimmy Conrad, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. I want to thank Jimmy Conrad for joining me today. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Qué Golazo Pod. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts. Make sure that you follow us as well on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, CBSSports.com, YouTube. We're on the CBS Sports app as well. Have a great rest of your week.